I'm sure a lot of you have seen the article that AFCBELL has put out in relation to Szoboszlai, and also in relation to Aouar. I'm going to read it again, courtesy of Google Translate. If it sounds mad, it's not my fault. I don't speak Arabic, so I can only go off Google Translate, and I'm well aware that sometimes the sentences aren't going to make sense, people. But in relation to Szoboszlai and Aouar, long story short of it is, apparently Dominic Szoboszlai is someone we're going for in January, which everyone from Fabrizio Romano to the article I've just read to you guys about The Athletic is saying. And apparently Hossam Auoar is still a target for us in the summer. I hope it is. He's had a bit of a shaky start to the season. You know, if he had that banging season this season, which I thought was going to happen, we're probably out of them shackles. I'm not saying we can't get him, but you know, if he has a good season and goes off to France, that move will be patterned. If he has a shaky season like he's going on, other teams might sit on their hands and say, you know what, there's other areas to introduce, or maybe Lyon can command less money for him. I would love both. You know, let's just try and get one out over the line, because I'm pretty pessimistic on both. Again, the AFCBELL article, and you can read it yourself at www.afcbell.blogspot.com. It's obviously in Arabic. If you can speak Arabic, people, great. If you can't, like me, Google Translate that. And I apologize if Google Translate means the sentences aren't going to make sense. It has said, Arsenal aims a double solution in the next 2 transfer windows. Information for the AFCBELL. The club is inquiring about Dominic Szoboszlai and is preparing another round in the summer struggle with Hossam Auoar next summer. 40 days separate us from the winter transfer market, and a few months that transform us from the summer window. There are many variables and few constants. What is taken for granted at Arsenal is that the goal is clear, specific and precise, to add creative elements to the current squad. Edu Gaspar sang about Thomas Partey's deal and the great work he did behind the scenes to settle that deal, and he was right to do so. But as soon as the summer transfer window expired, he began to prepare for what is coming, the window of January and beyond. Work began in full swing to sign one or more names to support the shortcomings and weakness of the current team. And again, if you're an Arsenal fan, that's arousing your imagination. A source familiar with Arsenal's approach and system in selecting their goals in the transfer window told AFCBELL that the club led by Edu on the field had cut more than 80% of the way to sign its goals last summer. But February, how was this done? Arteta and Edu know the importance of reaching the goal early, sources say. The field scouts in advance and the video room and stat staff will most of the time make recommendations to Arteta and Edu, which makes sense considering stat DNA, and we've cut a lot of team and we've got more specialists who in turn choose the most appropriate and effective names for the club's current play, style and philosophy. The next step is to send indirect messages to and from the named players' camp via an intermediary, a middleman, with a close relationship with the player and his team, or a former Arsenal player who has an acceptance in the player's environment. And I'm not going to read it out, but I also spoke about how Arsenal used Kanu in that regards to bring Partey to the club, people. And then obviously when it says penalty clause, I think it means release clause, and I've skipped a bit, but it says before the club did the release clause on the 5th of October 2020, they were very critical and sensitive stages, such as the FA Cup final, in which Arteta battled brilliantly and presented a brilliant victory, which contributed to reserving a seat in Europa League, and loosening the screws a little from Arsenal's financial treasury, which the rest of the other clubs affected by the crisis couldn't do. That victory gave Arteta a balance of confidence in the meeting that took place the following Wednesday with contracting team and the club's management, where Thomas Partey's name was approved and Hossam Auoar appears as well. Stan Kroenke decided to support Arteta with his own method of appointing Tim Lewis, which we've just spoken about, people. Tim Lewis is Kroenke's trusted advisor, who helped reorganize the club's debts, freeing up more than 30 million cash reserves in the club's safe and approximately 10% of the interest paid to banks annually as part of the debt repayment agreement. This step almost saved the amount needed to pay Thomas Partey's penalty clause. So Tim Lewis has done some good work there, you know, and along with Edu. And again, you've got the articles praise Kroenke to a degree. So whoever did what they needed to do to get Partey here, shout out to you lot. But he said, Arsenal might have been able to sign Hossam Auoar with an offer close to that structure, but the move by Thomas Partey, in addition to being the move for goal one, is a move to preserve the weight of word and promises made by the club to various players in the future. After the club provided Thomas Partey and his surroundings with a guarantee, and Partey significantly refused any offer from any club in respect of the word of honor that brought together Edu and, it says, Jose. I don't know who that is, people. The issue was more than just a passing deal. It's a deal that preserved the status and image of Arsenal in the orbit. Okay, I'm kind of lost, but yeah, man, we've given our word to Partey that would be done, and he's respected us. He said there were many reasons mentioned in the media about the reasons for the failure of Auoar's deal last summer. Many rumors circulated on social media about the greed of one of the players' relatives and his request for a huge sum as part of the deal to facilitate its conclusion. We did not have to call prayer inside the players' camp to inform us about some of these unknown details. But one of our sources in Thomas Partey's camp was telling us that the club told them that it was keen to sign Aouar and that the interest was serious. And one of the club's priorities was that, and that the Thomas Partey deal would be placed on the shelf. The shelf is a period of time so that the club can decide on Hossam's story first before closing the Thomas deal. We have hinted at that on more than one occasion. The message that was coming to us from our sort is that Thomas Partey's deal is settled, and we would not need to sell any players to provide liquidity. Rather, Auoar's deal is fundamentally dependent on selling one or two players, which did not happen. For this reason and other clues, and our primarily assessment of the situation, the AFCBELL crew decided to make Auoar the main file for next summer. There is no guarantee or assurance that the deal will happen 100%, but there are facts and well-documented reports last summer from France and information received by those we trust, at least a ray of hope. The player will be the focus of attention of several clubs next summer, and therefore it is expected that the deal will depend on a strong transfer budget guaranteed by qualifying for the Champions League or support by Stan Kroenke, or relying on considerable profits from the sale of some players. In all cases, this file will undoubtedly be active, but it is not succeed. The club will naturally have alternative plans. Is it too early to talk about moves in this file? Probably not. The pattern that Eddie followed is repetitive, and if so, he has started his chess game. So we haven't really learned anything, Naturally, if Arsenal wanted him, we're not going to go for him in January. As we already know, if you were going to go for him again, probably go for him in the summer. We know Champions League football can make or break the difference of us getting players, or it could be more of the same. We know we probably have to potentially sell players to somewhat generate funds. So far, I haven't learned anything new from this article. It does seem like a bit of a dream seller, really and truly. There's no solid information other than, based on the groundwork done last season, that Auoar will come. AFCBELL was spot on with Partey, so I'm inclined to believe them and whatnot. But just based on what I'm reading, I haven't learned anything new or seen anything to suggest that there's concrete interest beyond the fact of Arsenal will naturally try again. In relation, apparently they said we managed to reach one of those close to Auoar recently, which we were unable to do last summer, but we will not stop here, but rather we will continue to penetrate into the player surroundings so that we can provide you with good coverage when the time comes, God willing. Hopefully, man, you lot brought Partey's news to the equation, so don't be wrong about this, because so far it seems like this was a hype job, this article. Apparently, in the next January transfer window, which is only weeks away from us, the club aims to consolidate the current squad, especially in terms of building and creating opportunities. And given the scarcity of financial resources and scarcity of influential players in such a market, the available of Dominic Szoboszlai's option represents a golden opportunity for the club. Arsenal is very interested with the player's profile, and it is natural to see his penalty clause of 24 million. That business agency office can confirm the arrival of an inquiry from Arsenal, who registered genuine interest in the player and open communication channels with his agent. So again, we're seeing the feasibility of the deal. We're kind of getting, I guess, roughly what it might take to structure, what would take, what is he looking for, what is the agent looking for, what is the player looking for, both in sporting and obviously monetary and stuff like that. We're putting the feelers out. We're seeing, can it be done in January? Can it be done at all? Now, if I'm Szoboszlai, I'd probably sit on, if a good opportunity comes, take it. But I'd probably wait. I think people underestimate, stay in your current environments, the pressure is there, but you know, there's no pressure immediately from Salzburg. Keep playing football. You're important. You're doing your thing for Hungary. As long as you keep performing in the Champions League and your league, people will come for you. He's playing for Hungary in the Euros as well. Probably wants his move sorted by then. So there's no need to move in January. Probably just stay to the end of the season. Now, that's if I'm him. If an opportunity comes that you can't resist, then obviously join. And as an Arsenal fan, I hope the deal can be done if we've reached out to his agents. Obviously, the article's then gone on to say AC Milan are still into him. Apparently, Leipzig are interested in him, and Real Madrid are on the case as well, people. So we'll have to see. The only other bit of relevance, you know, it said people close to him are pushing him to postpone a decision. Apparently, talks are in relation to Arsenal and his agent. Talks are in early stages, and Arsenal will, in ideal conditions, seek to convince the player to come in January. But Edu's ability to do so will be tested in coming days and weeks. The player is flattered as interest in a major club surfaced, and this is how he felt when he learned of Arsenal's inquiry. But the extent of the impact of the under-the-bridge offers described by one of the sources and presented by a German club, and it is believed that it's Bayern Munich in facilitating Dominic joining a friend club before moving. It's gone on to I'm not going to bore you people, but it's basically say, could he go to Leipzig and then move to Bayern Munich? It could be done. You know, that's the only thing Arsenal can look to offer him, in that you can come here, develop yourself, and Real Madrid and these clubs in 3 or so years, if they're in for you, you can leave, people. But there's too much. For me, there's too much speculation, and you know, you have to say, you know, at the end of the day, you have to play football and not look at the media. But you look at Upamecano and Hossam Aouar, you know, they had good seasons last. Well, not so much Auoar because it was a disappointing season for Lyon, but you know, they had okay seasons and they've started off weaker, and they've both linked with moves all summer, significant moves. How much has that played into their poor start of the season? I don't know. It could just be one of those things, but you have to wonder, people. So I'm not too sure. But again, I didn't learn much from that article. Everybody's been saying we're going to move for Szoboszlai in January. And I said it already. Just didn't fortunately learn anything there. Unfortunately, people, like it's quite upsetting, really and truly. I didn't learn a damn thing, but it is where it is in that regards, man. It is where it is. It is where it is. So yeah, man, we've spoken about Arsenal Leeds, you know, which I think my preview is actually out now. We've spoken about Arsenal Leeds. You know, we've spoken about Aston Villa, that game. We've spoken about the Kroenkes. We've spoken about Szoboszlai and Auoar. We've spoken about a lot here, folks, people, man. Let me get some questions in before we get out of here. Lionel Messi, my dude.